Hey, this is Ramon, channel Alpha 4, and this week we are going to be talking something a little bit different. There's this thing going around that Catholics don't read the Bible, that Catholics don't understand the Bible, or that Catholics are not allowed to read the Bible. So I thought I'd explore this in some depth. So let's start off with, do Catholics read the Bible? And I'm going to be clearing up some misconceptions, not only misconceptions that Protestants and some atheists have, but misconceptions that some Muslims and even some fellow Catholics have about Catholics in the Bible. So what you see here before you is different Catholic editions of the Bible. Now, the most famous one is going to be the Douay-Rheims version, and the most popular one here in America is going to be the New American Bible, and the most popular one internationally is the New Jerusalem. In Europe, a lot of times they'll use the NRSV. Now, here's the big thing. A lot of non-Catholics will tell you that the Catholic Bibles are the Douay-Rheims and the Jerusalem Bible. That's just not true. And a lot of Catholics, even some apologists, will try to tell you that the official Bible is going to be the Ignatius RSV version, okay, the Revised Standard Version. That's also not true, because here's the thing. If you actually go to the website of the Vatican, or you go to the website of the, what is it called, Conference of Cardinals? Basically, the officials of each community have different Bibles for different regions. And in Spanish, which are the Bibles behind you, there are official Catholic Bibles for each region. So there's official Catholic Bible for the Spanish in Mexico. There's an official Spanish Bible for the Spanish in Spain. There's an official Portuguese Bible for the people in Brazil. And there's an official Portuguese Bible for the people in Portugal. So every region will have its own conference of cardinals, conference of bishops, and in this conference they will decide, sweetie, this is not your video. In these conferences, they will decide which Bible is official for which group. Of these, only one of these is official for the Catholic Church, and that's the New American. And I think it's only the third edition that's official. The rest are not. Now, people will try to tell you that the only thing to make a Bible officially Catholic are two things. And that will be the Imperator, and also another thing called the Null, which I don't think this one has. Basically, one says that it's officially recognized, the other one says that it gives no hindrance to Catholic teachings. That just means that when this Bible was produced, it was the best translation according to the Catholics in English at this time. Well, this Bible was produced before the King James Bible. So in 1582, this was the best edition in English of the New Testament, and in 1609, this was the best edition of the Old Testament in English according to the Catholic Church. But we are no longer in 1609. So currently, the best edition is going to be the New American, I believe it's third edition. Okay, is the current best one in English. Now, if you speak French, the best one is going to be the New Jerusalem, except not anymore, because now they have a different translation they're using. They're not using the New Jerusalem anymore. So, what are the official Bibles in English? Well, there are two. There's the New American, and there's the CTS. In America, specifically the United States, you will be using this one, this translation, and in the rest of the world, if you speak English and you're Catholic, you use this edition. That's it. Not the Ignatius Bible, only these two. Now, these two are published by many publishers, including Ignatius, I think has an NAV Bible. But These are the official translations that are also used in the lectionaries, and that's that. And if you're a good Catholic, you're supposed to read from this once a day. Okay? So let's talk about good Catholics and bad Catholics and what are the Catholic habits surrounding reading the Bible. And then we'll get into some different ways of reading the biblical text. Because, believe it or not, the Bible is not the only way that Catholics get the Bible and get the scriptures and the Gospels into their brains. Do Catholics read the Bible? So let's talk about Catholics that only meet the bare minimum. So what is the bare minimum? Well, you have to go to confession at least once a year, get communion at least once a year, and go to all the days of obligation. Now, what that actually means is every Sunday and every what we would call feast and solemnity. But what that means in practicality is showing up for Lent, Easter, and Christmas. The bare minimum for a Catholic is confession and Eucharist, that's one. Christmas, Easter, and Lent, that's 4. And that's about it. So it's possible to only go to church maybe 4 times a year if you're a Catholic. Obviously, that's not good. But then there are Catholics that meet those requirements and they only get the Sunday missal. So Catholics that only go to church on Sunday don't read the physical Bible, but go to church, get the missal. So what is in the missal? Well, every year, the missal goes through the Bible. So you get readings. What you actually get is called selections. And you get 3 parts. So let's just pick one. You get an opening, which is like an entrance hymn, so that's Isaiah. Then you get what's called the collect, which is a hymn. Then you get a first reading, which is usually the Old Testament. Here we get Genesis. Then you get a psalm. Then you get a second reading, which is usually from an epistle. And then you get what's called the Hallelujah. We then get the Gospel. And the Gospel here is going to be Luke. So, 2 years, maybe 3, to get through the Gospels this way. So if you just go to church only on Sunday, you're a Catholic, you're a minimal attendance Catholic. That means only attending Sundays and holidays. You're going to get the Bible in 3 years. The entire Bible. So every 3 years you will get through the entire Bible over and over again. So there you go. And that's what you get if you are a minimum attending Catholic. What's the bare bones minimum is attending 4 to 6 times a year. What's the minimum you're actually supposed to do? That's attending all solemnities and all feasts, and including attending every Sunday. You will get the missal. So we just covered the bare minimum, which is the missal. And we'll get into the missal a little deeper in a second when we talk about people who actually go to daily mass. But what if you go to church more than just Sundays? What if you take part in Christian ritual? Do you get the Bible there? Let's say you're no longer a bare bones Catholic. You now attend church every Sunday and you take part in private meditation or private practice, if you will. What do you have for that if you're a Catholic? Well, you have novenas, which personally I am not a fan of. Don't really like them. This is the edge of acceptable practice in Catholicism. But they are acceptable practice. So what do you get with a novena? Well, you get a story of a saint and you get prayers. And the prayers are usually asking the saint to intercede for you. Okay, so you get that. And then you get the Rosary. So what is the Rosary? Some will say, incorrectly, that it is a prayer to the Virgin Mary. Virgin Mary. But this is not what this is. The actual Rosary actually has several parts to it, and there are several ways to pray it. Basically, I'll show you here, an Our Father, 3 Hail Marys, and a Glory Be. Okay? And then you go to a story. You get to right here, you get what's called a mystery. So there are three big ones. So you can get the story of Jesus' birth, you can recite the story of Jesus' passion, or you can recite the story of Jesus' resurrection. These are called mysteries: joyful, sorrowful, and there's another one that I can't remember off the top of my head right now for some reason. Anyway, so I have said the Rosary before. I'm not a stranger to the Rosary, but it's not part of my personal practice. You are not required as a Catholic to say the Rosary. It's not required, but it is a devotion. Now, let's say you want to say the Rosary. What are you doing? You're remembering the Passion. You're remembering Jesus' conception and birth. You're remembering Jesus' resurrection. Saying the Rosary is a way to memorize the events of the New Testament, of the Gospels. That's all that the Rosary is. The Rosary is not praying to Mary. It is saying prayers and basically trying to think about what a mother would feel watching her son go through these events of life: birth, death, and resurrection. That's all that it is. It's a way to meditate on Jesus. See? Jesus. A way to meditate on Jesus and his life through the eyes of his mother. That's what the Rosary is. So, step 2 Catholic is the Rosary and the novenas. Okay, so you've now decided not just to attend because your family makes you, not just to attend every Sunday, and not just to say a Rosary or use a prayer rope. You've actually decided to go to daily Mass. What do you get with that? Welcome to the daily missal. So, these are 2 different daily missals. They have roughly the same thing, and this is the entire Bible put together. And there are little bits and pieces of the Bible that are rearranged into what's called selections. So what you do is, by reading this whole thing, you can get through the Bible. Have you ever bought a 1-year Bible? That's a daily missal. Same thing. It has the Psalms, the Gospels, the Old Testament, and you can get through the whole thing. So that's what it is. That's a missal. Now, in the middle of the missal, you have what's called the liturgy. And in the liturgy, you get different rites. So it's called the order of Mass, and you get the order of Mass. You get to do what you do, when you say it, what you don't say, what you do say, all that kind of good stuff. Okay? Eucharistic prayer, and everything in here is in the Bible. Okay? So don't worry about that. And you get the entrance, the gospel, and this is what you get. Now here's the thing, is that the gospel's done in selections, as are the Psalms. So if you notice right here, it's Psalm 89, but it's 20, 21 to 22, and 25 to 26. If you go back a day, you will see. So 19, 8, 9, 10 through 15. What about the readings? Okay, so you get Deuteronomy chapter 30, 10 through 14. You get Exodus 1, 8 through 14 and 22. And then the next day you get Exodus 2, 1 through 15. So with the Missal you get selections. For instance, Sirach chapter 36, verses 1, 4 through 5, 15 through 17. And then the next day you'll get Sirach 42, 15 through 25. So you get selections. Okay? And you'll get through the entire Bible that way. And it tells you what years, and it's done in an A, B, and C cycle, and it's done in an A and B cycle for weekdays. So that's basically the Missal. Also, in the back of the Missals, you get prayers, you get rites, and you also get saints. So you get a book of saints in the back. So that's what's in a missal. Same thing in this one. You got saints in the back. Tells you what day is dedicated to what saint. All right. There's another part to Christian life, and that is prayer. The bare minimum every Christian is supposed to pray, every Catholic is supposed to pray, is twice a day, plus before or after every meal, depending on your tradition. Not all Catholics do that. And in all honesty, you're really supposed to pray 6 times a day. What is a Christian or Catholic prayer book? Okay, so we got 3 of them here. We have shorter prayer, and this is just morning and evening prayer. This is the basic that every Catholic is supposed to do. Most Catholics do not. Then you have your standard people's prayer book, and this is different prayers that Catholics can pray. This is a really good book. I like it a lot. I use this all the time. Most Catholics who get into prayer will use something like this, not something like this. So this is morning and evening prayer, standardized, and this is just kind of random prayer. And this is really good. I recommend this. But you might get something like this. This is the Liturgy of the Hours, called Christian Prayer. And this one is a little bit more intensive. Again, it just has morning and evening prayer. It also has some readings. It also has saints in here. So you have biblical readings, you have hymns, you have songs. So some of you, though, might be familiar with this. For instance, if you're Jewish, you might have a Seder. These are roughly the same book. Or if you're Lutheran or Episcopal or Presbyterian, you might have a book of common prayer. So, Book of Common Prayer, the Seder, and Christian Prayer are all technically the same book. So we are asking a question today. Do Catholics read the Bible? And the real hardcore answer is going to come in these books over here. But we're not there yet. We've already covered the missal. And as we saw from the missal, Catholics who go to church only on Sundays will get the entire Bible in 3 years. Catholics who go to church every day will get the Bible in 2 years. That's roughly how it breaks down. And these are called missals. So you have a Sunday missal and you have a daily missal. So what are these over here? Obviously, you know the center one's the Bible, but let's talk about those 2 books right here. These are technically prayer books, but they're also called Psalms. I've gone to Protestant bookstores before, so I know you guys have these little collections as well, so don't act shocked. But what are these? Well, this one is the New Catholic version of the Psalms, and this one is the Grail Psalms. What are the Grail Psalms? This is the official Psalms in English for the Catholic Church. And this is liturgical. That's not, this is. And there are 2 versions of this book. There is one that is read as prose, and there is one that is sung. All Catholic prayer and all Catholic readings, including the missal, is supposed to be sung. And I have been dividing it up between daytime prayer, evening prayer, night prayer, and it basically breaks down like that. So this is your Psalms. So a Catholic is supposed to read the Bible every day. Sometimes Catholics don't want to read the physical Bible. Sometimes they just read the Psalms and do their prayers. So you'll do evening and night prayer and maybe read a psalm a day. That's not the most intensive way to do it, but it is a way to read the Bible and stay connected to your faith. So we've been talking about, do Catholics read the Bible? We have covered that Catholics are required to do confession once a year and get communion once a year. So that means they're at least getting something once a year. They're also required to go to all solemnities and feasts. Basically means all days of holy obligation, which means all Sundays and all major holidays. So that will be a Sunday missal, which I showed you. And just to show, I have the English version and I have a Spanish version, just because. So that's a Sunday missal. And I've also talked about the daily missal. Sunday missal gets you through the Bible in 3 years. Daily missal gets you through the Bible in 2 years. So, what about the Bible? Well, as I talked about earlier, there's actually only 2 official Bibles in English for the Catholic Church. The CTS and the NAB. The CTS is technically the New Jerusalem Bible, but it has been adapted to match the Grail Psalms, and they have changed the name of God to the words God or Lord. So El Shaddai instead of the Lord's name. And as far as I know, no Catholic Bible uses Jesus's Masoretic name. I think they only use the Greek name. So I think they only use Jesus. They don't use Yeshua. But it would be nice if we started using Yeshua in our Catholic Bibles. That would be cool, because that is technically his actual name. You know, he wasn't Greek, but whatever. So, what is in the Catholic Bible? You hear all these weird things. Well, as I have shown in my Bible series, the Catholic Bible and the Protestant Bibles all say roughly the same thing. If you go back to Bibles before Vatican II, and yes, there are Catholic Bibles in English before Vatican II, they will recommend to Catholics not to read Protestant Bibles, because Catholics were not convinced that the scholarship of Protestants was up to par with Catholic scholarship in the Latin. Nowadays, that fear has all but dissipated, so Catholics can read any Bible they want, but for liturgical practices, only these 2 are recommended. So, what's in these 2 Bibles? It's really simple. You have Old Testament Tanakh, and this is the Tanakh. It is the Old Testament. This is the Hebrew. And the New Testament, Gospels. Now you might be saying, is he going to not say the other part? Yes. There are books in here that are not in your Protestant Bibles, but that's not really true. Any authorized King James Version, especially older editions, has the Apocrypha. They just have it set off in a different section between the Old Testament and the New Testament. In actuality, those books are included in every Bible outside of the Protestant tradition. So Catholics have several more books than the Protestants, and Orthodox have several more books than the Catholics, and Coptics have several more books than both, and the Ethiopians have an open canon. So there you go. But these books are the Bible. And if you watch any of my Bible series, you know that I am going through different chapters week by week using different texts so you can hear the differences. The translation is based off the Greek and the Latin, and as well as the Hebrew and any surviving text. So the scholarship is at the same level as any major Protestant text. So the NRSV, the King James, which the RSV, the Revised Standard Version, is based off the King James, and the RSV is technically a Catholic Bible, although. But these are the 2 recognized ones. Now, there are recognized Bibles for other communities, such as there's an official French one. It's no longer the New Jerusalem, but there is an official Bible of Spain. This one's the official Bible of Chile. And there's this one, which I believe was the official Bible of Mexico, but now there's a different one called the Bibles of America, I believe, in Spanish. Or that could be the official Spanish translation for the United States now. I don't know, it's complicated. Anyway, as I explained earlier, each conference of cardinals has their own official translation for the area they're in charge of. So there you go. All right. So in America and in the rest of the world, you have these. You do get all the books, and everything's the same, and the translation's actually really good. You get all the same information, except that we have Maccabees, and we have an expanded version of some of the other books. But it's all in here. It's the same stuff, and it's really good. So, same book, people. Don't get scared. All right. So, that's it, right? I've now proven that Catholics read the Bible, because you're supposed to read the Bible every day as a Catholic, and here are 2 Catholic editions. They have the same information that's in all the Protestant books, plus they have some extra books that the Protestants don't have that they're supposed to have, that they should still have in their books, but they don't. All good, right? I've answered the question, right? Right? So this is the Liturgy of the Hours. What is in the Liturgy of the Hours? First off, you have the Old Testament. Then you have the New Testament. But then you also get the Church Fathers. And you also get your prayers. But you also get your Grail Psalms. And you also get your Lives of Saints. All those books are inside this. So what is the Liturgy of the Hours? The Liturgy of the Hours is what the actual church is. The Catholic Church, when we say we have an oral tradition, we are not talking about the catechism of the Catholic Church. The oral tradition of the Catholic Church is this, and just this, not the catechism. So, it's the writings of the Church Fathers, the prayers of Christians that have been collected throughout the years, the Psalms, the Old and New Testament, and the lives of saints, as well as prayers that they may have said in their lifetime. So if they have any writings, the writings of saints are also included in here, and that's the Liturgy of the Hours. And you're supposed to pray this. So sunrise, middle of the day, sunset, and midnight. So you can pray this 4 times a day. Most of the time, they recommend you do it 3 times. So morning, middle of the day, and evening. Now, you can, like I said, you can pray it 6 times. You can do it morning, mid-morning, noon, mid-noon, evening, and midnight. Okay? And they also have readings, and they have 2 different sets of readings in here. So it's possible, if you want to, you can read for your office, and you can read in general. So you can get through the Bible in 1 year reading the Liturgy of the Hours. So let's talk about the Liturgy of the Hours. Let's use the one I'm currently using. Okay. So you have the office readings, which is going to be Monday, the Epistle of Paul. And then you will get a little responsory. Then you get a second reading, and this is a sermon from Saint Caesarius of Alaris. Like I said, you get the Church Fathers, and then you're going to get prayer, and it just goes on every day like that. So you've got hymns, and you got the Psalms. See? And the Psalms are there. So from the psalmody, you then get night prayer, and you get your prayers. Okay, so you get morning prayer, evening prayer, like that. So let's see, we can show that. So you got morning prayer, which is a psalm, the Our Father, and evening prayer, daytime prayer, mid-morning, say. And so you get your Psalms and you get your Our Fathers in. Then you get, like I said, you get night prayer, which is actually really cool. I really like the night prayer. So with the night prayer, you get a psalm, you get a reading, short reading, you get a responsory, you get an antiphon, and you get a prayer. And then in the back of the book, you get saints. And you get the life of a saint, and it just talks about their life. You get a sermon, so you get the life of a saint, then you get a reading, usually about the saint, or a reading that was written by the saint. So you get, here's a reading by Saint Leo the Great. So you got, over here you got Saint Thomas, and you got Saint Gregory writing about something about Saint Thomas, and you can kind of get a lesson. Okay. Saint of the day is Thomas More. You then get a reading from something that he wrote. And you get to learn more about their faith. Same thing over here. You get a reading, you get a prayer, and you go on with your day. And that's it. That is the Liturgy of the Hours. Liturgy of the Hours is very cool, and a book that I happen to like very much. I happen to like praying this. If you guys would like to learn more about the Liturgy of the Hours, I'm willing to do a few videos on it. It's something that I enjoy praying. But this is, once you get to the Liturgy of the Hours, you've either become religious, or you become a priest, or you become a nun, or you've taken orders, you become a deacon, or volunteer at the parish you attend. But the Liturgy of the Hours is kind of the highest level of Christian prayer. The Liturgy of the Hours is based on the times that Jesus prayed in the Bible, based on the times that Paul prayed in the Bible. The literal time that's given in the Bible of when they prayed is the times that we are supposed to pray. This stems from the Jewish tradition of praying throughout the day. And you want to be doing constant prayer, as they say. This is a really good way to pray. I enjoy it. Muslims have a practice much like this, where they pray throughout the day. Catholics are supposed to do the same thing. We're supposed to pray at a minimum twice a day, and more than that, pray before and after each meal. We're supposed to pray morning, mid-morning, noon, mid-noon, evening, and midnight, as well as we can do our office readings. And we're also supposed to read the Bible as well on top of that. And we read the Bible when we're doing this. We'll supplement the Liturgy of the Hours with the missal. And once you've added the missal to the Liturgy of the Hours, you are reading the Bible all the time. Once you do that, you are reading the Church Fathers, the Bible, and the Psalms all the time. So, do Catholics read the Bible? You better believe we do.